Looks like it's recording, and we'll go ahead and get started. Do you want to lead off, Ramona, or should I just go ahead and
Yeah,
start?
maybe just one more sentence. So yeah, as discussed in our last meetings, you all told me it could be interesting for you to use, as well as you know, as already LLE does, the tools of C3 SoftWorks. So for today, we just will have a short demonstration of the possible functionalities and so on by Paul. And after our session today, I will again contact you all and just find out, is it interesting for you or not, and then we can discuss about possible licenses and so on if it is interesting for you. So yeah, already, Paul, thanks for your time and looking forward to our meeting.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Ramona. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Paul Keller, and I'm with C3 SoftWorks. I've been with the company for a long time, and it's my pleasure to do a very brief overview of our software tools to help with engagement, to help with retention and motivation. These are tools, very easy to use programs to help with training, to help with content review. Before we get started, I just wanted, if you haven't had a chance to, you might want to just write down this web address and that 4-digit code. So while I'm going through a few brief slides, you'll be ready to participate in a game. We'll only do a couple of questions, but it's an important way to demonstrate how you can use your own devices in a classroom setting, or perhaps even in a webinar or a virtual training session to interact with your participants and track results. So we'll go ahead and get started. Now, before I do anything here, if you have questions or you're not sure what to do next or what have you, feel free to send them. I know everyone's on mute. Feel free to send them to me through the chat pane, in the GoToWebinar window pane. You can chat me questions, and I'll answer those as I move along here. Or you can go ahead and break in on the call too. That's fine. So we'll go ahead and get started. Again, these are just a couple of slides to introduce who we are as a company, what we do for the last 10 years plus. We just celebrated our anniversary last week, of our 10th year anniversary. And I've been with the company for since its beginning, and then prior to working for C3, I worked for another software company for almost 10 years in the game software, quiz templates, game templates to help trainers with their training, to help engage and have a little bit of fun with their sessions. So I've been doing this for a long time. Anyway, C3 SoftWorks provides game and quiz templates that are all customizable. You put the content, you put your images, your logo, all of it is your content. You do it all yourself. It's very simple to use. You do not have to be a developer. You do not have to spend a lot of time with a manual or training. It's pretty much ready to go out of the box. So one of the things I'm going to do this afternoon is kind of go over how you play a game, and then how you can quickly create a game. And again, we'll just spend a few minutes on this. We're not going to get real detailed today, but at least give you a good idea of how easy these templates are. So briefly, we're going to go over in a few minutes here a Bravo template. Some of you might be familiar with the classic game show Jeopardy. We have Hollywood-style games that you can use that can be used in both the classroom, can be used in a webinar, can even be used on the desktop and let people play on their own. So it may not even be instructor-led all the time. You just want to send out a game and let people play on their computer. So that's something you can do as well. So Bravo's one style of games. Another style is called Pronto. These are games that we designed to help make your training content, your content review, lively, to have some fun, and there's some animation that's going on. There's some battle sequences, some racing themes that allow you to have a little bit of energy in the room, or again, you can play online as well. And they're just excellent tools to use for content review. These games generally do not take quite as long as the Jeopardy game. These games can take anywhere from 5 minutes, could go as long as an hour, depending on how much content is you wanted to put into them. But they're a lot of fun to use. We also offer templates. I won't get too much into this today, but I just wanted to briefly kind of do a quick mention that we offer game and quiz templates that allow you to create for the desktop or the smartphone, the mobile devices. We have 2 programs that allow you to send out content, that allow you to send out a game or a quiz, and let them play on their own directly on their mobile device, whether it's an Android or iOS, they can play, and then you can track their scores wherever they're playing. You can turn it into a game that's called Whirl. Whirl is a little bit like a casino game, a slot machine type of game that you would play in Las Vegas. So there's 2 different templates designed for that, and the questions can also be open-ended. They're not just multiple choice. You can do a variety of styles with your quiz creation, not just the standard multiple choice type questions. For those of you that are interested in doing some engagement in your live sessions, in your classroom sessions, we also offer a product called Tally. This is a template that allows each participant to answer your questions using their smartphones, using their mobile devices. Or again, they can play right on the desktop. If it's a virtual webinar, they can play right on the desktop as well. But again, it allows you to ask different styles of questions using pictures, or letting people answer questions that are more open-ended, where they type in the answer and you can see their responses. So it's a very easy to use tool for that kind of engagement. And as I mentioned before, you can use your smartphones, you can use the desktop. This is a kind of a pop-up window that would look like on your desktop. Ramona and her team, I believe, are using wireless clickers. These are keypad devices that are used, that instead of using mobile devices, you can use the wireless keypads. The other thing I want to point out is that with our games, you don't have to necessarily use any devices. You can let everyone in the class or on a webinar just shout out the answers or type in the answers. So it's important to note you don't have to have the devices to play. The advantage, of course, is that everyone plays when they have a keypad or a smartphone. And then also you can track knowledge gaps, you can track reports, you can track all kinds of things when everyone is using a smartphone. I want to touch briefly on games in general. As I said before, I've been doing this for a long time, and I've seen the industry in general evolve quite a bit over the last 20 years. When I started working with trainers, they would dabble with the notion of using a game, typically a Jeopardy-style game in PowerPoint, and they're still using this game. It's widely accepted, it's familiar, and it's been interesting to see that this has been a constant in the training industry, this style of game. And we offer a lot more type of game templates than just the Jeopardy format. But the notion of it is really you're engaging your audience, you're encouraging interactivity, you're encouraging retention, or I'm sorry, you're helping with retention and doing some assessment as well. And you can see all of this as you move through your sessions. So I just want to touch briefly on 6 reasons why it's important to use games, and it doesn't even necessarily have to be our software. It's just these are general concepts that kind of help explain why we do what we do. So games are going to be fun with a purpose. You're using the game to teach. That's the notion with gamification. You're taking a concept of a game, whatever it is, and combining it with your work task. And this adds a purpose to whatever you're doing. So yes, they're energized, yes, they're having fun, but this is important to note that you're using the games to teach. You're going to provide feedback in the room. You're going to allow them to practice what they're learning. You're going to motivate them at the same time, and you're going to do it in a less threatening environment than just handing out a quiz or a test. This is important to note as well. So games are no longer just a buzzword. I don't like to use the word gamification because it means different things to different people. So just basically it boils down to taking a game concept and combining it with something that you're trying to accomplish and helping teach and kind of celebrate your topic, helping reward the individual while you're teaching at the same time. There's 2 ways you're going to get feedback in the room. You're going to get feedback as a trainee. When I'm playing with others or when I'm playing online, I'm going to see in real time, how am I doing? You know, am I understanding this? This is an excellent way and a safe way to get feedback in the room. The other way you're going to get feedback is the trainer themselves. The trainer, he and she will be able to see in real time, are they understanding my information? Do they understand it? And then I can work with that. Once I see that there's a knowledge gap or some issues going on, I can work with that. We can either take time after the game and go over some things, or do it in real time. So I'll explain to you how this works in our software in just a little bit, how you get feedback. The new millennials are helping grow the game concept more and more. I wouldn't say it's all just them, but it certainly isn't hurting, or it's probably helping the overall industry. Young people in general, they're used to playing games. They're in it day in and day out, one way or the other. And I think the notion of just practicing what they're doing and getting instant gratification is a big part of the experimental learning. So you're going to be able to practice what they're learning and be able to kind of work with it a little bit, whether it's in a classroom or online, and then move on and see how they're doing against other people as well. So it's kind of a friendly, fun way to see, to apply what they're learning. Games by all general concept, and this is kind of an obvious thing. We all like to compete one way or the other, some less, some more, but the notion of winning is built into us. We want to compete a little bit. And so your game is going to allow you to do this in a safe, non-threatening way. You're going to teach. You're going to spend less time on the reward side and more about, let's go over this material using a game concept. But everyone in general, the energy in the room is going to increase because they're motivated. They want to compete. They want to win points and that sort of thing. And as I already mentioned, you're going to do it in a non-threatening way. Basically, all of this amounts to one thing, and we're going to hopefully accelerate the learning process. We all have very short attention spans. I, in particular, am awful. So having a game kind of break up a little bit to help chunk your information a little bit in a style of a game or some interaction will help with the retention factor. And this is backed up by all kinds of studies in the industry that I'm not going to bore you with today. And it kind of makes sense. We all learn in different styles. We learn visually. We learn through sound, auditory, and then through touch. So games kind of play into that whole mindset of different learning styles. Okay, so enough of that. Just a quick overview of kind of why how we approach our game creations, our templates, and why we do what we do. None of this is all that extraordinary, but at least gives you a quick backdrop of what we do. All right, so let's go ahead. I'm going to have you guys play a couple of questions. We're going to use a Jeopardy-style game, and you can use your smartphones if you'd like. You don't have to, but it'll give everyone an idea of how this works, either with clickers or with the smartphones. So we'll go to c3ping.com. We'll enter that code 5008. And then again, if anyone has any questions while we go through this, just send me questions through your chat pane, since everyone's muted, I believe. I'm going to open up this game here. A little bit about this game. Again, we're only going to play a couple of questions. A little bit about this game. I'm showing you this game as an example of how you can kind of make it your own game. I grew up in Minnesota, in the States here. I went to the school of the University of Minnesota. So I've kind of made this my Minnesota game. We've got the maroon and gold colors of the University of Minnesota. We have two famous icons that grew up in Minnesota or lived in Minnesota. Prince, of course, who passed away just a couple of years ago. And he had lived his entire life in Minnesota. And Bob Dylan, who grew up in northern Minnesota, is no longer living here. And so this is this can be all your game. This is your logo that can go up in here, the title of the game. All of this can be customized quite easily. And again, I'll take you through the back end in just a few short minutes. I just want to play a couple of questions here. So on the left-hand side, I'm using a response setting in my software that's called Ping, Virtual Response System. And all that means is people can go to this web address, and when they're ready to play, and they can enter this code, And that's it. That's basically all you have to do to set that up. You just have to have internet connection. All right. Now, again, you don't have to have this. You can play in what we call standalone mode, which is basically letting them ring in, kind of the old-fashioned way. Or you can use a wireless clicker, a keypad device that I believe Ramona has been using, or her team has been using. So if you have questions about that, she can kind of flesh that out after the call. All right, so let's go ahead and click the play game. Now, to help kind of keep this not so loud and noisy, I've turned the sounds off right now, but over the backdrop of my game, I have the University of Minnesota's Rouser, its music that's playing, kind of to help celebrate the game. I've muted that for now just because it doesn't always play very well over my headset. The opening can be anything you want it to be. These are just images I found off Google, right? I don't have to customize. I don't have to spend any time adjusting anything. I just bring in the image, and then it's ready to go. So this bird here is the loon, obviously. This is our state bird. This is the bird that celebrate or is Minnesota's state bird. All right, so I'm going to play two teams, and I'm going to have you guys split up into two teams, and you really can play on any team you'd like. Just go ahead and use your phone now if you'd like, and select the team to play on. You can type in your name. Beautiful. I have to have at least one person playing on Bob Dylan's team, so this is excellent. So this is basically how it works. I have a class, maybe of 15 people. I can have them randomly select a team to play on, or I can assign them to play on a team. If Uli was supposed to play on Prince's team, I can remove him and have him do it all over again. I'm not going to do that though. So, and you can have any number of people play on a team. So you get everyone engaged this way, you get them ready to go, and then once I click the next button, that kind of seals it. We're ready to play. So I introduced my topics in this Jeopardy-style game: a loony bin, Yasher, and hot dish. Hot dish in Minnesota is, I don't know if you know the word casserole. It's basically a meal that we eat in Minnesota. It's a very Minnesota thing. That's hot dish. And Yasher, a lot of Scandinavians in Minnesota, in centuries they migrated to Minnesota. So a lot of Scandinavians, and they say, yeah, sure, you betcha. It's the common thing we say in Minnesota. And loony bin, well, again, our state bird is the loon. So it's kind of these silly phrases that we use here. I'm going to go ahead and play a couple of questions only. I just want to show you how this works with your mobile devices. Each one of you is represented by a bubble, so I can kind of track and make sure you're getting your answers in. There is a timer, but the timers just help keep the game moving along. Now I'm going to select this first question under 100. Nothing's going to show up on your phone yet, so don't worry about that. This is information to help kind of set up the question. So many Hollywood actors grew up in Minnesota. Judy Garland, Winona Ryder, Jessica Lange, and E.G. Marshall. And you guys, I don't know if you're familiar with a guy named Jesse Ventura, but he was a kind of a B actor, a kind of not so famous actor, but I'm going to show this question now. What was Jesse Ventura's most famous role? Predator, The Running Man, Batman and Robin, State Governor. Excellent. All the answers go in, and I know that because your little light buttons get grayed out. So that's great. Timers can still keep moving. I can still keep playing in the game. The idea is you're kind of moving through this content in a quick fashion, kind of going over things. Now, if I want, I can click next before I reveal the answers, and you can see they're kind of all over the place. Well, not too bad. A couple of you said Predator, The Running Man. These are all famous or movies that he starred in. But yes, he was our state governor.
You are correct, sir. Yes.
All of this prompting can be in any language, any phrase you want it to. I want to point out that obviously all of this text is very kind of silly and over the top, but you can create whatever language you want, any kind of verbiage you want here. And there he is. This is our 38th governor. He ran from 1998 to 2003. He had lots of This was before he was governor, by the way. He didn't quite dress up like this. From 1999, to 2003, he was our governor. He only ran one term. All right, so that's very good. Bob Dylan's team pulls ahead. We'll do one more question here. And I'm going to do this question under Hot Dish for 300. Another preview screen talks a little bit about this product that comes from Minnesota. It's called Spam. This is quite a famous product because it helped the troops in World War II. In 1937, George Hamel created this product for the troops in World War II, and of course, it's still being eaten all across the country. I don't know if so much in Europe, but here's your question. So those of you that get Spam from C3 SoftWorks, it's different. Which state eats the most Spam in a year? Is it Minnesota, Iowa, Alaska, or Hawaii? Kind of a tough question probably for those of you that live outside the United States. Again, I can have an image in here. I can bring in lots of different graphics if I need to help support this question. So yeah, we do eat a lot of Spam in Minnesota, not so much in Alaska, but Hawaii. Whoever answered that correctly, that is correct.
You are correct, sir. Yes.
And it makes sense because obviously it's very expensive to import products into Hawaii, so they eat quite a bit of this. I guess the average Hawaiian eats 12 cans of the Spam, and there's a little clipping here that I found a couple of years ago. All right, so that's kind of how this works. You just kind of talk through the material as much as you'd like, and then this is where the energy in the room will actually increase. It's amazing how many times I watch a game or I play a game myself in a live setting, and the energy in the room really takes off because we're all a little bit more motivated and having fun while we go through this content. All right, so that's basically how the game is played. Quickly, I'm going to show you how the game is created here. Again, you're using a template, so you can just click right on the grid itself. All of these blocks are empty. They're just basically waiting for you to type in a question. The same thing goes for the category headings. So you just click on the box, type it in, and then go into the Spam question. Type in our questions here, answer goes in here, and select the correct answer. Super easy. And then if you need to bring in graphics or audio, this is just using these folders here. We'll bring in any image off your computer. You load it right in that way. As I mentioned, or I showed you earlier, you have the preview screen. This is information, but it sets up before your question. So you text, we brought in an image, and then we preview our work. Okay, so we preview anytime we need to look at what we're doing, we just click the preview button. Same thing for the summary. Goes right up in here, and then preview what we've done. Okay, so really that's all there is. 2 areas to book in your question. They are optional. You don't have to put those in there, but it helps you teach. And then you mostly, for those of you who are going to be using clickers or smartphones, you're going to be using multiple choice questions only. There are other questions types and also in some of the other games as well. The other thing I want to just quickly point out, because this is a question I get quite often, is how long is it going to take me to create a game? Well, it really is a matter of, do you have your questions and answers ready to go? Because that's really where you're going to spend most of your time. But the neat thing about this software is that you can use this library function. This is blank. There's nothing in here to start out. But when you do start out, you can start adding questions into this library. You can create folders, different topics, and then you can pull from these questions and layer and put them in wherever you want to. So the library is going to help you quickly create newer games using the content that you've already created. It's a huge time saver as you start to use this. So any graphics, any sounds, anything that are video, anything that you have with your question will stay in this library. And then the rest of this, guys, I won't spend really any time. I just want to quickly point out, again, you have places to put in your graphics, your logos, images, all of these come off the web, right, to make it my game. And you don't have to do this. You can just use the game software out of the box, but it's very easy. It only takes about 5 to 10 minutes to customize a game. Let's create your own avatars, create characters. You can put images in here. You can build characters if you'd like. You can also disable the characters if you just want to use team names. Okay. And then again, for game text, for anyone that wishes to create a game in a different language, the questions and answers can be in any language, as well as the prompts. All of these can be in any language. You can just type over where that goes and select wherever you need to. That's all in the game text. If Liebherr uses a learning management system and you want to create a game and let it stay inside your learning management system, the software has an LMS function. This is a SCORM package. This is a very standard way of uploading a quiz or a game to your learning management system and letting people play on their line. It all resides inside your LMS. I won't go into anything more about that, but if you have questions, Ramona, feel free to send them to me, or again, you guys can chat me questions as you move through this. Here's the actual software here. I'm just going to show you before we wrap up here. And Ramona, I can send a link out if you'd like and let people kind of practice with this. This is the latest software program. It's called the C3 Cloud. All you're doing is going in, logging into the program. You click the Create button, and there's that quiz show template I just showed you. But you have so many other options to choose from. There's a wheel game we call Spin-Off. It's a little bit like Wheel of Fortune, Who Wants to Be a Millionaire, and a Family Feud style game. Scroll down a little bit farther. There's those Prano games I mentioned. They all work the same exact way. The same game builder that's in Bravo is the same builder in Prano. So the functions all mirror each other. You just decide which game you want to choose from. And then down here you have your templates for mobile learning or letting them play on the desktop. That's what I mentioned in my slides. You have Spark and World. It makes a little bit more of a game out of it. And Tally is also used for interactive presentations, live presentations, or in a webinar setting, and let people use their smartphones in that format as well. So you just decide which game you want to choose from and get started. All of your games are going to reside under this one location called Content. Click My Content. And then what you can do is you can go through the quizzes and you can edit, you can play, you can do all kinds of things. But one thing I wanted to show you that's kind of neat is that if you ever want to send out a quiz and let people play on their own, you just click Actions, click Share, and that's all that has to happen. You can send this link out and anyone can play on any computer. They don't need a license. They don't need a download. It's a limited amount of people can play. And it's just an excellent way to let people do content review and do assessment on their own by using that link. So you go to Content, My Content, and then share your link and let people play. You can ask them to register if you want to track their scores and get a report, because keep in mind, the software is going to track both in the classroom and it's also going to track for online self-paced learning as well. So use that register button if you actually want to track users, or just let people play anonymously. Just receive the link and start playing and let it go as that. So if you want to track reports, it's all done up in here. Click Reports and track single player classroom sessions, and you can get a nice report to see how people are doing. So that's really the quick overview. I didn't want to spend a whole lot more time. Unless you folks have questions, I'm happy to kind of go over things in a little bit more detail. But as I mentioned before, I can provide this link so you can kind of demonstrate the software. You can go in and click the Create button. You don't really have to worry about this button right here. It's just for administrative uses. Just click the green Create button and choose a game to start creating. Just click Start. You can give it a name right away if you'd like. Just type in whatever you want. And then click Questions. Decide how many questions you want to start out with. And that's it. Really, just enter your question here, answer choices go in here, and it saves it automatically. So you don't have to worry about saving. You can use the library later on if you'd like, or just start putting in questions right away. Ramona, this pretty much wraps up my quick overview then.
Perfect.
Does anyone have any questions, or do you want to go ahead and address the group?
I think, yeah, thanks first, Paul, for your presentation. So I think it would be definitely interesting to get this page to just play around a little bit by ourselves. But sure, all of you are now invited to just ask your questions to Paul.
Uli speaking from Toulouse. Hello, Paul.
Hello.
I have just one question. If I understand it right from Paloma, you have to install this license on one computer, one PC. That's right?
That's an excellent question. So Ramona's team is currently working with an older version of our software where they download the software and it sits on a computer. It's a PC. The software that I'm showing you is the most common way. It's the way we're using our software is cloud-based solution. So you can create from any computer. It's assigned to an individual, right? So you would be the developer, but you can work from home. You can work from your office. It's allowing you to access the program from any computer. So it's a login that would be assigned to an individual.
So we can use several computers, let's say, to work with the software, let's say, wherever we want.
That's right.
Yeah.
Okay,
well,
because...
yeah, that's very interesting. It would be great to get two information to that after our session. So the one would be pricing, because I only know the prices for the things my colleague Paloma at Lindenberg has. And the other thing is, in Europe, the topic cloud is a very important topic due to data protection and data privacy. So do you already have this cloud service in use for a European customer? And can you provide us some more information about where are the servers located and so on?
Yes, absolutely. It's an issue or concern everywhere, not just obviously in Europe. And we have documentation that will help explain how the content is encrypted, how it's secured. We just recently went through a rather lengthy process to make our software. It was already certified and whatnot, but we had to go through another lengthy process because we were working with a company called 3M, and they had made us go through quite a few more steps to make it even more secure. Mm-hmm. So I'll provide some more information to you about that, and then anything else you need, but that's not a problem.
Perfect. Yeah, and Uli, I'm sorry, I think I interrupted you. Sorry, I thought you're done, but then it doesn't seem to be. So if there's more questions, please go ahead.
Okay, thank you. No, it's not a problem. No, it was for me quite important because, of course, we have several computers in our company. We have, let's say, do training in several rooms, and each room is, let's say, equipped with another computer. So for me, it's quite important that your tool is, let's say, not only installed on one computer. This is really one important thing. Okay, that was the first question, and second question for me. Okay, I understand that you can get the results of all this, let's say, quizzes and so on a report. This report is a Excel file, or what is it?
Yeah, if you wish to export the information and create your own kind of your own standalone report, it's all done in Excel. It's a CSV file, correct?
Okay, thank you. So we can also imagine that we use this because in France, I don't know, in Germany, but in France we have to evaluate, let's say, the satisfaction of the training at the end of the training, and this might be also not only a tool, let's say, to be used during the training, but also at the end of the training to evaluate the satisfaction, overall satisfaction of the training. That's right?
That's an excellent point, Uli. Yes, absolutely. In fact, the product that I didn't show you called Tally would allow you to do just that. It's an excellent tool for a group survey or opinions that can all be anonymous, or you could send it out in a Spark survey. Let people play on their own and just tell me what you thought of the class today, and get a survey that way. So that's an excellent point.
Okay, is it an optional, let's say, software, or it's already provided this?
It's an option in the software. So you can ask a question that has a right or wrong answer, or you can just let it be a survey style.
Okay. Thanks a lot. That's all from my side.
Good. Anyone else?
Yeah. I would have a question, actually. The colleagues who already use the software, as far as I know, they do the questions mainly in one language. But I know some of our colleagues, they definitely do training in more than one language. So are there as well, for translation purposes, import and export functionalities?
That's a good question. No, not. There is no import function or anything like that, but because it is a template, everything in the software can receive any text, whether it's French or Japanese or Russian or what have you. You can, as long as you can type it into the computer, it will receive that text, and that's why the prompting is important. So instead of my game that said correct, you may want to type in a different language there, and that's all. The prompts can be customized. The only thing that really isn't customized, Ramona, is the buttons on this side cannot be changed. So these would be in English.
Okay.
But everything else, in using this game text function, you can kind of tweak the language however you need to.
Okay, but I can't, let's say I create 10 German questions and I know I need them in English as well.
Oh.
Just grab the texts, and give them to a colleague doing the translation and then just import them again or something like that. So as well on a question base.
That's right. That's right.
Okay.
Yep.
Thanks for your answer.
Yep.
Yeah, anyone else? Any further questions? Okay, doesn't seem to be.
Okay.
Yeah? No, Linda, is there a question from you?
I think I just love the idea. We would be waiting for the link so that we can go through and then see what we can have further.
Yeah, that is what I would suggest for the next step. So first of all, thank you all for your time today. So once Paul sent me the link to a short to the test, I will forward it to you, and maybe then we can agree, I'm not sure about your holidays, that then in 2 weeks' time, I will just contact you again and ask you if you are interested in working with the system and the software or not. And for the ones of you who are then interested, we would together discuss the topic licensing with Paul, because sure, and we can be that open in the session, that will save money for all of you. So that will be my suggestion for the next step, is that if that is fine for you.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sounds good. I'll send you over the information this afternoon, Ramona, and within the hour. I know it's closing time or getting close, but I'll send that over to you, and then let me know next steps when everyone gets back from holiday.
Okay, perfect. Yeah. Then, thanks, Paul, for the presentation. Thanks to all of you for joining the session. And yeah, we speak to each other very soon for this topic again. Thank you.
Very good. Thank you, everyone. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thanks a lot. Bye.